Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim or Sim Naya, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. Today, we'll be talking something very important, and this is really a very sad one because seeing that trauma of having a pick me mother, seeing that a woman would rather pick a man than his children or than her children, seeing your mother not care about you because she probably found a man that she likes and she doesn't want to. And when the man says, I do not want to have your children with me and all that, she would rather leave the children somewhere else and be with a man. And I am asking, why would you do that? Why would you bring children or a child to the world that you know that you cannot be accountable for? Some people are so irresponsible that they are not worthy to be mothers and all of that. And then the trauma they leave on those children lingers, and eventually maybe in the end they will be expecting that child to probably take care of them probably when they start getting old and all that. And trust me, if the child did not take care of you, I do not blame the child, because you put that child on a very long thing while growing up. And I think it is better I don't know, I think some women can do better, because I don't see how somebody will I don't know, but that sucks. Let's just get into this video.
You want to talk about trauma? Talk about the trauma of having a pick-me mother. People don't talk about it a lot, but there's a specific trauma that comes with that. And when I say a pick-me mother, I mean a mom who will seek male validation or the approval of men over the safety of their children. And it happens a lot more than you think. These are women who will quite literally side with a man over their children, who will prioritize the affection and attention of men over their children. And we see pick-me's all the time, but what we don't know is that pick-me's have babies, and those babies walk away traumatized. Why? Because pick-me's are more prone to putting their children in harm's way through emotional neglect, allowing physical and other forms of abuse. These things happen as a result of moms prioritizing the needs of men over their children or themselves. I highly recommend, if you have a pick-me parent, to just examine your relationship with yourself and your relationships with romantic partners and things like that, because it can show up in so many different areas of your life. And we don't want to repeat them patterns. And let me just note that a lot of women are conditioned to be pick-me's because we live in a patriarchal society, obviously. But that doesn't excuse the behavior. It just is like an explanation for the behavior. If you are a pick-me parent and you feel like your man needs to come first, I should whack you, but I'm not going to do that. But I will say, work on yourself, please. You want to talk about trauma? Talk about the trauma of having a pick-me mother.
Okay, so I have a list. Number one was when I was like 18, 19, I had a boyfriend who cheated on me, and my mom told me to beg him to take me back. Number two was when I had somebody who followed me, right? They followed me home, and my mom thought I was lying about that. Number three, there was another person who followed me home, but this time there was a kidnapping attempt, and there was like this person followed me into this mom and pop store where I hid. And like, when I told my mom this, when I came back home all shaken up, she still didn't believe me. Number four was when my stepdad told me that I looked prettier if I were to just be quiet, and my mom agreed. Number five was when my stepdad told me that the reason why that I was unheard when I was a kid was because there was nothing that I could say that could have his attention, and my mom also agreed. Number six was when she told me that men will like it if I had short hair. Number seven was when she also said that if I were to have makeup, men wouldn't find me attractive. Number eight was when she told me that I should lose weight so that men would like me more. Number nine was when like her ex-boyfriend in the 2010s walked in on me when I was taking a shower after I literally locked the door, and I remember that I locked the door because I checked twice that I locked the door. And then I heard some keys jangling, and I heard the door unlocked, and I literally heard him like go in and watch me take a shower. And then he lied to my mom saying that I left the door unlocked. And then my mom didn't believe me because she thought that I wanted her man. I didn't. So what number is that? Okay. Number 9 was when her current boyfriend threatened to unalive us in her car, and threatened to put a BOMB if we were to drive off without him, or if she were to leave him. And then when I had a panic attack after the whole like thing, she told me that I was exaggerating, that I was doing too much. Number 10 was when I really liked the way that I dressed one day, but she told me that I looked like as if my shit don't stink. Number 11 was when I really was like tired of the way that I was perceiving my body, and so I wanted to change that, and I wanted to view my body in a more like better way. And so I was like telling myself like positive affirmations, and then like she told me that men won't like it if I had a big head. So number 12 was when my stepdad told me that he wasn't going to teach me how to drive if I had unless I have a driver's license, but he taught my brother how to drive even though he doesn't have a driver's license. And then when I told my mom this, she said that I needed to stop being so jealous about my brother. And then number 13 was when my stepdad told me that the reason why that he didn't want to bond with me when I was a kid was because that I was a girl. And then when my mom told me about this, she told me to stop lying and that he loves me anyways. And then number 14 was when I told my mom, hey, look, like I don't feel comfortable, like there's like, you know, I don't feel comfortable in you know, my stepdad's house, you know, when they were separated. And my mom told me to just suck it up. Number 15 was when I told her like that I didn't feel safe when I was like walking outside at night, and then she got mad at me because that I was believing things that wasn't true, even though I told her that I didn't feel safe outside, because like there were multiple cases where I felt like I was being followed, and most of those cases where I was followed was at night.
You want to talk about trauma? Talk about the trauma of having a pick-me mother.
Boy, oh boy, I didn't realize I had a pick-me mom for a long time because my mom and dad divorced when I was 14, and she started dating a bunch of guys, and I didn't realize that she was a pick-me the entire marriage. She was like my dad's fucking servant. She did everything. She got us ready. She did the laundry. She did the dishes. She did all the meals. She did the prep. She did the schoolwork. She did all the appointments. My dad literally went to work and would come home at like 5 or 6 p.m. and everything was taken care of all the time. So I thought, oh, you know, we were raised in the Fundamental Baptist Church, so like that's what you're supposed to do as a housewife. But she took that, you know, to a higher notch when she started dating. She literally met this guy online, married him within 6 months, and told us, if you don't like it, you can bounce. So I was like, bye. I moved in with my dad and went back to California, where we're from. And she got married to this dude. He was a fucking gold digger. My grandparents literally had money, and so she had money. And when I moved back to, you know, live around them and my sisters, he was a psychopath. One day he told me, listen, girl, I'm going to be around here for a long time, so you better be nice to your mom. And I was like, get the fuck out of my face. I went and told her what happened. And he's like, she's lying. I never said that. And she believed him. Then one night, I brought my younger sister home late because she decided to fall asleep at a movie theater. When I got home, my stepdad, 2 years, was sitting in a recliner with the light on. And he's like, get upstairs, take your cousin home. Because we were with our cousin. So I walk outside and he comes flying outside, gets aggressive with me, literally tries to throw me up against the car. And he's my height. I'm 5'9". I'm a big girl. So I literally tossed him like a rag doll into the fucking garage. He fell back and hit it. I'm so mad. I was like, get the fuck off my property. All because my sister fell asleep at the movies. And we lost her and brought her home. She was like fucking 16. I was like 19, 21. Something like that. I called my mom and I said, your husband just put his fucking hands on me, dude. And if you literally choose him again over your children, like, you're a fucking shitty ass mom. We didn't speak for like a year because she chose him and believed him. He said he never touched me. My cousin was inside the car scared and witnessed the entire thing. This was a pattern. My middle sister had to live with my mom when I left and had so many instances of her just choosing these men over and over and over and over and over. Like putting my sister's safety at risk. Like doing these outlandish things. Going to meet these men wherever. When my mom has a man, he's like literally the king in the household, and we are just the sorry people, as King Curtis would say. I visited my mom before on occasion with my children, and she acts like we are the biggest burden. She'll beg us to come out, and when we get there, it's like, oh my God, this, oh my God, that. She's a clean freak, she's this, she's that. But let me tell you what, she's never complained about a man in her life. She devotes her all to every man, and she doesn't give a fuck all about her children. She's like stone cold. My mother has never been able to say the words like, I love you, to her children. And I definitely think it stems back to her issues with her father. Her father was a psychotic preacher who literally tried to buy a girl from their boarding school. That's another story. But yeah, I had a pick-me mom growing up, and I still do. And it sucks because she just got married again. My dad was dying of COVID, and my mom decided to get married and didn't tell anybody. And the only reason we knew is because my pick-me psycho aunt posted the pictures on Facebook. So yeah, I have a pick-me mom.
You want to talk about trauma? Talk about the trauma of having a pick-me mother.
Go check out his full video. I think this is the first time I've ever seen somebody acknowledge the trauma of a pick-me mom. And I think we need to talk about it. Just like the consistent bullying that you go through every day. Like, not only do you have to face your problems at school, you come home and your mom's your biggest bully too. So the other pick-me mom kids out there, let's talk about it. Let's open the discussion. We all need a hill. Like he, in the original video, like he said, if you yourself choose a man over the well-being of your children, stop. We're changing that. We're doing better. We're doing better.
You want to talk about trauma? Talk about the trauma of having a pick-me mother.
So I went through my entire childhood watching my mama be a pick-me. I never, ever, throughout my childhood, witnessed my mama being a single working woman. So throughout my childhood, my mama would she would end one relationship, pick up another one. End one relationship, pick up another one. My mama made sure that she went after men who can financially take care of her and her 4 kids because my mama didn't like to work. So, unfortunately, she would meet men who was not good for her or her children, but because they could provide, she went with them, right? She dated them. Her last husband spent 9 years in prison. No, not her last husband. Her second marriage, because she done been married again since then. But her second marriage, she was married to a man who had spent 9 years in prison for rape on his stepdaughter. Mind you, my mama have 2 boys and 2 girls. Do you think that she took us into accountability when she chose to date that man and subsequently marry him and be with him throughout most of my childhood? up until I got grown and moved out. And then I remember when I brought it to her attention, she was like, well, he ain't never touch you, did it? He ain't never do nothing till you did it. Girl, that's besides the point. It's like she did not understand the level of embarrassment that came with. How my friends' mama wouldn't allow them to come over my house because they knew that I had that my stepdaddy was a sex offender. How I felt knowing that my mama couldn't find no other man but a sex offender. And she had 2 kids, 2 girls. And her thing was, well, he knew not to play with my kids. He knew not to play with my kids. And one day if he decided to, you would have been partially to blame because you knew about this man's history when you moved him into your house.
You want to talk about trauma? Talk about the trauma of having a pick-me mother.
I would much rather discuss the trauma of an absent father, but we're here now. Children who exhibit pick-me behavior usually are neglected at home. How severe the attention-seeking behavior is how severe the neglect is at home. That develops into something called shame as an adult, which then turns into one's inability to connect with adults effectively. I mean, there's something to say about the men who exploit these inabilities within women, but we're not there yet. I feel like there's always a reason to talk about the trauma, but we also have to discuss why the trauma is there. How many people have failed this person to where this person can now traumatize another person without thinking that it's a big deal. Their neglect wasn't intentional. It was systemic. I think we need to put the blame where it belongs.
And when I say a pick-me mother, I mean a mom who will seek male validation or the...
Such a good video. I didn't actually even consider this until watching your video. So I grew up with a mum that was definitely a pick-me mother, and I got to the point where, also I'm oiling my hair, so ignore that. It got to the point where I have cut her completely out of my life, no contact, after her extremely abusive boyfriend put her in hospital, and I went through a whole thing to sort of make sure that she was looked after, and I don't know, there's a whole story there. But I gave her a choice. I gave her a choice that she could choose him or me, and she chose him, and I walked away. I never even considered it a pick-me thing. It was more sort of mental illness. Well, I guess it's all sort of in there together, I guess. But yeah, I had to do a lot of work on myself. For a long time, I hated men and blamed them, and then I shifted to realizing that she was broken, and then just had a lot of resentment around that, and it's been a whole lot of work. But the original creator was talking about how you need to do the work before you have kids. I don't want to have kids because of that. I am concerned about the things that he said about potentially perpetuating the cycle and doing things like that because you grew up with pick-me mum, and that is specifically why I don't want to have kids, because I am a well-adjusted kicking butt woman now, and I still hold trauma enough for that I don't trust myself to have a child. Also, they seem like a lot of fucking work. So this thought just occurred to me, and why it might be interesting is that I think of pick-me's as like the annoying pick-me girl, like the ones that are on here constantly, like, you know, the annoying tween pick-me. But you're right, they grow up to have babies, and then that behaviour can escalate, I guess, and it can put themselves in pretty compromising positions, or at the very least compromise their relationship with their children. So yeah, I guess shitty little pick-me behaviour grows up.
You want to talk about trauma? Talk about the trauma of having a pick-me mother.
As the child of a pick-me mom, I am co-signing on everything this creator is saying in his video about the harm that's done to a child when they have a mother who prioritizes men's needs, wants, desires over their own children. So growing up, my mother always had a bad man in her life. Every boyfriend, every partner she had, abusive, criminal, using drugs, violent. It made the childhood for me and my sister really unstable, filled with fear, filled with violence. We even ended up at foster care at one point because my mom prioritized being with some guy over taking care of us. So the lesson that I learned from that as a young woman wasn't that centering and prioritizing men was wrong. What was wrong was centering and prioritizing bad men. So all throughout my 20s and my early 30s, I made it a point to always have a boyfriend, always have a male partner. And I thought I wasn't doing anything wrong or anything harmful to myself because I wasn't being abused. I wasn't being hurt in any way. They weren't violent. They were good guys. They had jobs. They were good people. So I didn't think that I was doing anything wrong. But when I look back, I see a young woman who didn't think about her own needs, didn't think about her own desires, had no ambitions, had no dreams other than being a man's partner, being a wife, being a girlfriend. That was the most important thing to me because in my mind, that's where my value was. That's how I mattered. I didn't matter. I didn't even exist unless I had a boyfriend or a partner. And now I'm the mom of 2 daughters. And I really have had to make a conscious effort to unlearn these things that my mom taught me with her example and make a point not to pass this on to my daughters. I'm trying to teach my daughters that they have worth in themselves, that they have talent, that they have dreams, that they can have ambitions, that they can have goals, separate and apart from being somebody's wife or somebody's girlfriend or somebody's partner, that they just by themselves matter. And it's been difficult to do because I've had to rethink and relearn a lot of stuff that I didn't even know or was aware of. So, thanks, Mom.
This is all I got from this video, and the stitches are really wild, sincerely speaking. It's really like very sad that I don't know how, but it's kind of sad that somebody would rather pick a boyfriend than his children. I mean, where I come from, a woman would stick with his children or his child for stick with her children like forever. Some even sacrifice to the extent of like not even wanting to, even some when their husband die and all that, they will rather stay back just to raise the children and not even want to remarry because they feel like the children are going to have double, probably the man they will marry might not take care of her own children. So they would rather stay back, take care of their children, work and all that, live their lives till their children are grown and can be able to also take care of her and all of that. So it's kind of sad hearing that somebody would rather pick a man, pick her boyfriend over her children. Like, who does that? Who does that? And things like this come with trauma. You see all of them talking about it, and the trauma is still there. Some do not want to have children. Some also want to have, but they think that they want to teach their children to not be to be a better person and all that. I don't know, but the whole thing is just kind of sad if you ask me. I don't know what will make me want to choose a man over my children, my own blood. God forbid that. God forbid that. Because this is really so sad. Their stories are kind of sad, and you can hear how pained they are. You can imagine what happened to them how many years ago, probably 10, 15 years ago. Some of them, it is still very fresh in their memories and all that. And that is really a very bad one. I think some women can really do better, because I don't see how you bring a child into the world and you do not want to be accountable for it. And this is why so many things are going on in the world, and things are going really bad and all that. I am not, this is I wanted to talk about it in both ways, man and woman, co-parenting and all that. But now this trauma is about women, right? Having a pick-me mother, So, and I am going to concentrate on that. The reality is that it is, I don't know, but it's hard for me to comprehend. Maybe because I am still growing, or maybe I have not, I don't know. But I feel like, nothing would separate me from my children, no matter what. Anybody that wants to be with you has to really, like, must really accept my children first. If you are not going to accept my children, we cannot be together. And you already know too that I have children. I have people that I am accountable for. So that person have to choose my children and I together. But if you cannot, there is no need. You don't have to force it, because your children are more like your pride and everything and all that. And what you give them in this world is eventually what you're going to reap. So when you raise them rightly, good enough, trust me, in the end, you're also going to reap the benefit of what you raised, the amazing children, the beautiful children that you raised. But when you do not raise them well, trust me, even you and that man you married because you are not even sure, a man that you are not even sure of him. So I think we can do better, I don't know how to explain it, but I am trying to probably explain it from a layman's this thing, because I have not been married, I am not married, I don't have children, but I know how I mean, where I grew up from, how people do it. Their children are everything. Like, they do not want to, most of them don't want to remarry. Not like they don't want to remarry. Some would even want to remarry, but when they look at their children, they say, no, there is no need. Let me stay back and take care of my children. But it is what it is, and the trauma just lingers and the rest of it. That's all. Let me know what you all think in the comments. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.